What's up people, Shinigami here. Today we're doing the last video of Red Dragon Archfiend Week. It's been quite a week, we created some new variants, revisited some old ones, and it was a lot of fun. Now, I've not been able to accomplish everything I wanted to do. There are still some variants I never got to show on the channel, including the Destiny Draw variants that, well, some are good because they're not good, some are just because I don't want to upload 6 Red Dragon Archfiend videos in a day. So, why am I qualified to list all Red Dragon Archfiend variants and rank them? Well, over half of them, maybe even 3/4, I actually created. Most of these variants I somehow helped contribute to the innovation of, or even, well, created from the bottom down myself. So I've got all these variants, I'll explain to you what the variant is, and then I'll rank it. If there's a variant missing, you can always ask if you need a list for one of these. I can probably give it to you, some I can't, but most of them I can. Starting off, we have the normal Red Dragon Archfiend build. This is just the perfect middle, this is just no spicy tags, no spicy engines, just a normal deck list. I'm not a fan of those kind of builds. But hey, they do the job, and yeah, it's perfect average. We'll be measuring the other variants basically against your normal build. Starting, well, the second variant is the control variant. This Best on Abyss and Red Rain. And that's basically Masterpiece. Masterpiece is banned, that should say enough. So Red Rain makes one of your monsters an effect, or well, it banishes everything except the highest level monster you control if you control Synchro. And then that monster is unaffected by other card effects for the rest of the turn. However, it's not, well, its own effect is still active. And in the case of Abyss, that means a quick effect, negation. So even if they have Dark Hero, we can chain up Red Rain, boom. Run 3 goods, run 3 Red Rain, or you can go for your Chaos Ruler and you almost always open it. With some other hand traps, effect failures. You name it, it's a very consistent, very powerful variant. Honestly, the game plan of Red Dragon Archfiend is to turn 1 set up, turn 2 survive, turn 3 finish them. And this variant is perfect at it. So I think it's the S tier. Still need to revisit this last variant I posted on the channel. I still run Supernova. I don't think you want to necessarily run Supernova in this. So, next variant should be the Calamity Turbo build. I use Burning Soul for this, that's like an AA tier. It kind of is matchup dependent though, against like a combo deck. It's S tier, against more control oriented decks it suddenly drops to D or E tier. So King Calamity locks your opponent out of card effects for the turn, and then with cards like Burning Soul we make the opponent's turn to go to use any cards. Then it becomes very easy to finish them next turn. However, if they just set 5 pass, well, we ain't doing too much. So I think an A tier is justified and well deserved, but it's not the best build. There's definitely a gap between these two. Next up we have the Infinity variant with the Doom Dragon. I think this is like just below average, low C. I think with Infinity Archfiend 2-3 it could go to like B. It's a very fun variant. It proves that Infinity can be an engine, which some people don't think is the case, which I think is foolish. Just because Infinity is a 10-minute combo deck doesn't mean Archfiend just on its own can exist in a deck. Normally, Void Ogre isn't that useful in Red Dragon Archfiend, but this variant focuses on having an empty hand so that it becomes live. I don't have an up-to-date deck list for anyone asks, and I don't think it's, well, worth delving into until we get 3 Archfiend. When I do get 3 Archfiend, this variant will be glorious. I think it has a lot of potential. To at least be decent. Now we have Ancient Leaf, and this is just above C. This resolves around the card Ancient Leaf, that when you're above 9k life points you get paid 2k to draw 2 cards. So this can be used on top of something like Allure, Desires to just deep draw really hard to get some extenders. It's a nice concept, it's a little bit better than Pure, but I still would run it myself, but if you're looking for a little upgrade, it could be cool. You do have to run Red Resonator, which I'm not too much of a fan of in general, but it's needed for this variant. Next up we have the Malicious Bane, the hero variant. There's a lot of hero variants actually, so one hero variant doesn't exist. This might just be above that variant, it's a bit better, it's really good. So you run 3 Straddles, 3 Shadow Mist, a hero, well I'm not sure about how hero lives, you can run it. Emergency Calls. And the point of this build is to create your normal build, the heroes will search each other, so next turn you will definitely have at least some resource. One of the plays you can do is search Adjusted Gold of the Stratus or Shadow Mist. Then next turn discard it, or well, discard it, get your fusion spell and make Malicious Bane from resources from your grave. It's very strong, it's very devastating, it's an additional boss monster of your other boss monsters. And it just makes it easier to finish your opponent off. Turn 1 you're locked into tanks, turn 2 and 3 that's not the case, so, well, yeah, turn 2 you can't use it because it's a spell. But turn 3 you can just go off. So I think it's definitely deserving of the A rank. Next up we have the Destiny Draw variant, and I think this is one of the lower ranking builds. So this was a cool gimmick idea I had. It follows a similar concept, but instead of searching a dusted gold, you search a Destiny monster. Destiny Rda. I can discard the Destiny Rda. However, you're in the end just getting more garnets to draw the cards that don't really do too much, that you don't really need. I don't know, I think the variant was disappointing, maybe there's some potential going forward, but right now, from what I've tested, it's not exactly great. Next up, we have the Chaos variant, Chaos Dragon Archfiend, and I think it's somewhere here, either low A, high B. Yeah, I think high B. The thing is, this is the one variant that can properly use Supernova. In case you didn't see it yet, there's a Supernova Turbo dedicated build on my channel, where, combo tutorial, not really a deck, combo showcase I should say, where if you open certain cards, which really doesn't require many extenders, just Crimson and SL Summon level 4, can then easily go to Supernova instead of just Abyss, and sometimes with right hand Abyss and Supernova. That's the one way you can actively play Supernova without going -2 much. So I think it's a pretty cool variant. Yeah, that's why I think it's B tier, you know, it can create decent boards. The Dawn Knight engine is, well, either lowest of B or high C, it's like a gatekeeper between those. It's a nice variant. If you don't have the money for, what's its name, Wandering King Wildwine, this is a great alternative. Otherwise, it's also just a great engine this Church can open with at least 2 Red Risings, which opens the door to Gravity Collapse, a quite cool but gimmicky counter trap that you can run. You know, it has a few neat advantage over a regular average build, but it's not the greatest build either. It's, you know, pretty cool. Next up, we have Denko Rda. It's hard to rank this one. I think I'll place it in D tier for now. It's, well, the opposite of the Calamity variant, where Calamity shines against combo decks. The Denko variant shines against control decks. However, if they aren't playing control, this variant isn't great. One could theoretically just side a Denko, kills Rda can fetch it. But as a dedicated variant, I can't recommend it. It's a cool idea, but throwing out Denko, it's just not worth playing in my opinion. At least not as a blind deck. Now, Link Red Dragon Archfiend is a Link variant, and I think that's an F tier. You barely go into Red Dragon Archfiends. In general, you're just playing a Link Synchro deck. It's kind of lame, honestly. Well, okay, the concept that it exists, I guess, is kind of cool, but the actual variant itself is not great, and not a fan of it. Traptrix Rda, just above average. Well, okay, maybe, yeah, this is like the actual Gatekeeper deck. So, if we ever get good trap holes again, or if the current pool of trap holes becomes strong against the meta, this decklist, this variant will ascend in the rankings. So, the nice thing about it is that every level 4 you summon basically gets you an interruption, or at least there's a high chance of getting you an interruption in the form of a trap hole card, which, you know, isn't the greatest value, but at least something. I just think other variants are stronger, but it's still a decent variant of the deck. Now, next up, we have the Supernova Dragon variant, which is just honestly weaker control. But you know, it's still pretty okay, but it's not the greatest variant. I think just Abyss is a stronger monster than Supernova, which sounds really fucked up and weird, I know, but it just, circumstances just make it be. Now, the greatest advantage of this card is you can use a new really strong trap, the Great Soul, I believe it was called, that basically gives you an additional monster effect negate. But the second you negate something with Supernova, your interrupt is gone, and I don't like that. I just don't think it's that great. Makes cards like Red Rain less good. Yeah, just in general, not the biggest fan, so I'm putting it into the middle of B. You know, there are better variants out there, but I mean, it's not terrible, it's better than your average list, at least. Now, we got the Despia variant, and I think this is actually the top of A tier. I don't think it's on the same tier as the S tier, but it's still a very solid variant of the deck. Now, the biggest advantage of this deck is that you have your own Trident. You have a Trident-like effect that you can run on top of your Red Dragon Archfiends. And that alone is just very solid. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the Guardian Chimera, I'm gonna open Adder Pro to double check this because that's actually kind of important. Guardian Chimera. It's actually, yeah, it is level 9. So if you use Red Rain and you control Abyss, you are in fact protecting your Guardian Chimera, your fusion. Which makes it very easy to keep it on the field for the next turn, and then you just have 2 big beat sticks without any other extenders, and I think that's just great. It's a very strong variant of Red Dragon Archfiend, and I think it's a build that's overlooked and not respected enough by the community, if you ask me. And next up we have Magistus variant, which I've recently shown on the channel. I think it's like this. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's better than most other builds, but it's still not that great. The issue is that, yeah, it's theoretically nice, you know. You get a draw and you can go into Savage Dragon, but it's just a link 1. The Savage Dragon only has 1 negate, not 1 negate per turn, just 1 negate in total. I don't know, I just think it's not enough. If we ever get a good Link Magistus target that's higher than Link 1, this variant will become insane. But right now, you know, it's better than a lot of other variants. It's just these other variants are way stronger, and I would play these over it any day of the week. Now I have the Simorg variant, and I think this is another one of those low tier decks. Not exactly a great variant, it sounds great on paper, but in practice it's just very disappointing. The Simorg engine isn't that great, it's not that consistent, it requires garnets. And yeah, it's a fun variant, it's a fun ID, you know. Calamity plus Dark Simorg means your opponent cannot do anything, but in practice it's often very, very disappointing and lackluster. Next up we have the Denko Rda variant, and I think this is the best variant in the game right now. I think this is the variant to pick up if you're planning on playing Red Dragon Archfiends. Just not only having the ability to just play your Red Dragon Archfiend, but also having the additional ability of basically summoning what is a variant of Destiny Hero Plasma easily on top of it without that much additional resource. I think it's very, 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 very great. Now, the Northias will without a doubt be expensive, since they will be like invoked. They will be splashable, they will be insanely strong, and I think people are definitely underestimating them at the moment. But yeah, they're literally the best level 4 summons we can bring to the deck. That makes this this high ranking. Plus, you can basically mix them with Control, so these are basically the same deck. And of course, there's also the Inca variant, which I don't think is great either. Now, to be fair, a Chaos Ruler without a normal summon is pretty decent. It's pretty good, actually. It's one of the few ways we can actually dig for the Crimson Resonator. But I just don't think it's worth it. If we ever get a Searcher for the Eschator, for the starter, for this Inca build, yeah, I think it would climb up to C or B tier at least instantly. As is right now, I'm personally not a fan, it's my own tier list, you can always disagree. I don't think it's that good. But yeah, closing off RDA week, I'm very, very fucking proud, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Because at the time of starting the week, this was the strongest variant. The Hero variant was the best variant we had, together with this. This Chaos variant, with the knowledge we had, was like ranking here. But no, it's now in the B tier. Magistus was created due to a guy in the Discord for Red Dragon Archfiend. Shout out to them, by the way, they also really pardon me. The specific variant wouldn't be here. Honestly, over half of the high-ranking builds were created in the RDA week, so yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I think we definitely made some progress. This Dynarifia variant is so damn good. The Control variant is just the way to play right now, I think. And it's honestly the safest way to play it. Just Abyss, Red Rain, Veiler. Bit customizable as well, which interrupts you want to run. Which also makes it viable against multiple decks, because you can just easily side deck. Yeah, it's basically the perfect Red Dragon Archfiend build, and I think it's funny, you know? Basically, the perfect variant of Red Dragon Archfiend is just summoning one big Red Dragon Archfiend monster, a few traps, and passing on it. Literally the way Jack Atlas played the deck in anime, he would be proud. But yeah, that concludes my Red Dragon Archfiend variant tier list. If there was something I didn't list here, if you think there's a card I need to check out in the future for Red Dragon Archfiend, you can always list it. And just a recap, which variants did I personally create? This one, this one, this one, this one. Well, the exact version of this I definitely did create, so this one. And this one I ended up never uploading, so not really. This was like 50-50, somebody else gave the additional idea, then I flashed it out. This was my creation, this was my creation, this was my creation, this was my creation. This was my creation, this was my creation, this was my creation, and my creation. Almost all the variants are made by me, so, you know. People often call me the Infinity God, which is a name I never gave myself, by the way. I might have embraced it at some point, which also I've got Shinigami. It's a reference to Kal and Kiryu from the anime. But I definitely think I deserve more respect when it comes to Red Dragon Archfiend, because nobody ever names me as top Red Dragon Archfiend deck builder or anything, which I think is a bit silly. I've done a lot of innovation. I definitely don't plan on stopping, you know? Anytime we get new experimental engines or new discoveries, I will be trying them out still. Because I bloody love this deck. I've been playing it for a long time, even before we had the good cards like Crimson Resonator. Don't believe me, the evidence is up on channels like Asian Eyes and Capital G. Yeah, the deck's just a lot of fun, and I've had fun this Red Dragon Archfiend week. I hope you did as well. I hope you all have a beautiful day. And with that, I'll end this video. Goodbye.